Hey everyone, welcome back to Root and Revel. Today, I'm refreshing a few of my succulents. Some of them are totally root bound and overdue for a little care. I'll be showing you how to repot, propagate, and make new plants from one of my favorites, the ghost plant. Propagation is one of those skills every plant lover should master. It's how you turn one healthy succulent into a whole collection. Today, I'm going to show you how to do it step by step. Let's grow. This is my ghost plant. It's one of the easiest succulents to propagate and also one of the prettiest. You can see it's gotten long and leggy, which means it's the perfect time to give it a trim and start some new ones. Ghost plants form rosettes at the tops of their stems. They have a sprawling or trailing growth habit and they grow outward. The weight of these rosettes will then cause them to cascade over the side of the planter, and as they cascade, a lot of those lower leaves will begin to fall off. Additionally, once they've gotten this long and leggy, they no longer produce pups at the base of the plant. Pups are the brand new baby plants that are forming at the base of the stem. I can actually propagate this plant 3 ways. I can cut the top of the plant, repot it, and it will form new leaves at the base of the plant. I can cut the pups that are growing at the base of the plant and repot them, and then they become a brand new plant themselves. And by propagating the individual leaves. It's a great way to multiply your plants, and they all work beautifully. Succulents have a pretty shallow root system, and after a while they do tend to get root bound. As you can see in this case, the root ball is completely coming out of the pot. Replanting this in a larger pot will benefit its health. It will encourage new growth, it'll help replenish nutrients, and it will provide better drainage. Also, because we're cutting these pups and planting them as they grow bigger, it gives them the space that they need so that they can continue to grow larger and produce their own pups. Always disinfect your scissors before you begin cutting into the plant to prevent infection. I'm going to just remove all of the pups first, so as I'm cutting the larger part of the plant, I don't damage these pups and just put them off to the side. Next, we're going to be cutting the tops. You just want to handle these gently. These are obviously larger. They are more delicate. You want to prevent as much of the top portion of the leaves from breaking off as possible. However, we will take off some of these lower healthy leaves. These are being propagated and they will be replanted in soil to make brand new plants. So here are all of the tops that have been cut. We'll have all of the pups. We have quite a few here. And all of those healthy lower leaves we're going to make brand new plants out of. Anytime you're propagating a cutting, it's important to allow them to sit for about 24 hours to cure. And curing is basically the process of allowing that cut end to dry out a bit before planting it in soil, and that helps to prevent infection. It's been 24 hours. I'm going to start by dipping the bottom of the stem in some rooting powder. This is a completely optional step. Succulents will root on their own without rooting powder. This added step just helps them to take root a little bit quicker. Start by dipping the stem into the rooting powder and then gently tapping it off. You could put them all to the side until you're completed with all of the stems. So here I have a much larger pot, and as I mentioned, succulents have a shallow root system. They really don't need the depth of this pot, and I also don't want to fill this entire pot with soil. So I'm going to just add some plastic bottles to take up some space. This will also help with some of the aeration and drainage when I'm watering the plant. When selecting a soil, look for something that is suitable to succulents. I'm using a cactus, palm, and citrus mix. It needs to be well draining. You can also add some perlite to the mix if you feel it's a little too dense. This actually has perlite mixed into it already. Succulents do not like to sit in wet soil, and you want to give enough time in between waterings. Succulents can be watered once the soil is completely dried out. I'm going to be arranging these in one large pot. You can actually mix and match these into many pots for a really nice display of succulents. I think putting these together will have a really pretty look. My recommendation would be to put your larger pieces, especially for this particular type of succulent that cascades, put the larger pieces around the outside because they will spill over the ledge. And the smaller pieces in the center, this way they're not competing with those larger pieces for space or for light. This smaller plant was propagated from the individual leaves of the main plant. Everything I'm showing you today was all propagated from the main stem, the pups, and the leaves of one single plant. Now, this particular one was growing outdoors this past summer, and you can see that there is a stark difference in the color between this one that was outdoors that has a nice mauvey pink color and the ones that were grown indoors that are completely green with a little bit of a white tint. A sunny windowsill is great for succulents in the colder weather. However, the sunny windowsill can never compete with the bright light of the sun. So if you can bring your succulents outdoors when the weather warms up and put them in a sunny location, they will love it and they will actually grow faster and it will bring out these beautiful hues in your succulent plants. I would hold off on watering these larger pieces for 5 to 7 days. Give them additional time to cure before you introduce water, which could then cause like fungal disease or infection to those cut pieces. When it comes time to propagating the individual leaves, you want to put a layer of soil in a shallow dish or, like I have here, a container. It's important to ensure that that cut end of the leaf is in contact with the soil. The roots of the new plant will start to form where that cut end is. In this example, this is a leaf that had fallen off the main plant. I put it in a little bit of soil and you can see that there is some significant root growth here already. It does take a couple of months to see some good root growth, so patience is required. Once the roots form, you'll see these little rosettes starting to form, and at that point, you can cut the leaf away from that plant. These can be placed in a tiny little pot of soil, and they will start to grow larger. Once they grow larger, you can place them in a new arrangement, in a new pot. You can even put them in that larger arrangement that we made earlier. You just want to water these once the soil is completely dried out. Mist the leaves well. You want to make sure that that contact is there between the leaf and the soil, and repeat this process when the soil dries out. That'll help with the root formation. As I mentioned earlier, ghost plants love bright light, so these should be placed in a sunny windowsill. This will just help them thrive and it will bring out those vibrant colors in the plant. The individual leaves can tolerate a little bit more indirect light, but once the rosettes form, those should be moved into a brighter location. We covered a lot, from propagation of a pup, propagating the main stem, and also propagating those individual leaves. One healthy plant can turn into many. Succulents are a super rewarding and fun plant to grow. They come in many shapes and sizes and a variety of colors. I'm going to have a lot more content on my channel. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss out, and drop a comment below. I'd love to know what you're growing.